Shazam! Here we are. The first comment that we have. Oh, hold on. I got a thingy here. Looks like this stream was deleted on Facebook. Try creating a new stream, or just, you know what? Let's just remove it and I'll take care of it later. Save the changes. All right, folks, here we are. We are live. The first comment says, Happy New Year. That is from Delphine. Happy New Year to you. We were here on the 2nd, right? We did the one on the 2nd.
We did.
And we said Happy New Year to everybody. But we also recognize that most people in their right mind would not have been live on the 2nd. And most people didn't expect us to be here. But we ended up having a really big show. Like, a lot of people showed up. I think we caught a lot of people like out of the office, sitting at home in their living room, you know, drinking a hot toddy, and went, oh, I just got a notification. They're live. I'm going to sign in. Kim White, Happy New Year to you as well. Here's the deal. I'm going to put it right inside the, where's our, oh, here it is. If you want to ask us any questions today, this is an Ask Us Anything call. The whole idea of this call is you're thinking about using LifterLMS. You already use LifterLMS. You've got a question. Maybe it has to do with an integration. Maybe it has to do with setup. Maybe it has to do with installation. Maybe it has to do with, I'm not sure if I want LifterLMS. Maybe I want to use Moodle instead and build some other HTML website. You can ask us those questions. So jump into the comments, put your questions in there, regardless of the platform you're on, and we should be able to see the comment come in, and then we should be able to respond, do a screen share, something like that. Now, my name is Kurt. I'm Kurt Von Annen. I'm here with Magic Emily Middleton. Emily, say hi to everybody.
Hi to everybody.
Christopher says, happy everything in 2025. That is wow, that is very optimistic. Happy everything in 2025. I have a hard time really explaining my level of optimism for 2025. And it sounds so cliche and it sounds so like just weird, but simple things. Here's a simple thing. You know that tech budget that we get, Emily?
Yeah.
I decided to cash in some of that, and I told you my laptop, it didn't feel right to keep using my laptop as a main computer. And I got this 14 terabyte external hard drive, and I love the hard drive, but every time I would go to save something, it was like the laptop had to like repower it up, like to find it. So every time I would go to get something or save something, it was like, you'd hear it go, you know, and it's like, oh my goodness, you know, and it was only 10 or 12 seconds, but it was 10 or 12 seconds for everything I wanted to do. And I was like, and I said, I don't know. And I told you before, I edited a lot of video, and the laptop I had before literally melted on my desk, right? So I was like, okay, maybe I should just get a real desktop computer. And so I started doing some searching, and I wanted to get like one of those cool all-in-one Lenovo computers, the Yoga all-in-one. 32-inch screen, blah, blah, all this cool stuff, but they're $2,200. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to go the complete other direction. So I have this 32-inch monitor, 27-inch, 32-inch. I don't know. I'm looking at it right now. It's pretty big. I got a big monitor, and I bought a Dell mini desktop. Have you ever seen those?
No.
It's this big. I feel like Madonna. You don't look good. We don't look good. You don't look good. We don't look good. Right. So it's this big. I bolted it onto the back of my monitor. And I used to have to use a USB hub for everything to plug into, because my laptop had like one USB, right? So I used to use a USB hub for everything to plug into it. Mm-hmm. This desktop, dude, everything plugs in. My light here plugs in. This thing, mm-hmm. You know, it all everything plugs in. All my cable maintenance is done, and I feel like I'm actually super productive. I got 32 gigs of RAM, a terabyte hard drive, and a 14 terabyte external, and that terabyte external, the 14 terabyte external drive, it's like instant now. Like when I'm doing videos and stuff, it's like in, out, in, out, in, out. You got a cat for New Year's, I guess. So there's the cat. But no, I'm really excited about the purchase. And that sounds ridiculous to be that excited about something like that, but I think it's really going to free me up for some of the workflow that I do. So I'm keeping the laptop, and the laptop will now just be my mobile thing. Like when I do a WordPress meetup, I don't have to unplug and reconfigure my workstation when I come home. Now I just grab my backpack and I go, which is really nice.
Yeah.
And then I got these. These are my New Year's.
Yeah.
You're not old enough to know what these are yet.
The readers?
They're not readers. They're I have a really weak prescription because my vision's really not that bad, but I can't see things far away, like street signs or high contrast, like bus marquees, right? Like think of something that's like an LED on a background.
Yeah.
It's too blurry. I can't see it. I can see other things, but like high contrast things, I don't see very well. And so after I turned 50, I got my first pair of glasses, and I've had a couple of pairs since. Like you saw me with these when we met each other, and these transition into like sunglasses, right?
Yeah.
And I use them for mountain biking. But these were my New Year's present from my insurance company, and these are the first glasses because I used to get headaches having to switch glasses all the time between like being able to see far away or like read something up close. And so I'd switch the glasses and it would give me like headaches and stuff. And so I got these. And when you tilt your head, they're lineless multi-vision glasses or something, right? And so if I were to like look this way, this is like I'm looking far away. And as I tilt my head up, it changes the focus to go from like readers to seeing far away. My wife got a pair first and she didn't like them. But now after a while, she adapted and she likes them. And I'll be honest, yeah, Kim says they're progressives. So yeah, if you want to get technical, Kim, I guess that's the real word for them. Got to come in and ruin my talk. But they're progressives. And it's cool because now I don't have to take my glasses off. I just have to get used to using them. You have to look what you want to see. If I want to see, like I have to look directly at you on the screen and you're in focus. But if I try to do like the cool, like Kurt looking the other way thing, it's blurry and I get a headache. So I got to figure it out. But I'm excited about that. See, it's the stupid little things that we keep moving forward with that I get excited about. And how about you? What's your New Year's? What are you excited about with New Year's? I mean, it's Christopher's fault because he said happy everything.
Yeah. You know what? I guess my New Year's thing is I got my haircut yesterday. And so I'm going to buy a bunch of new hair products. And I had like professional recommendations. So no longer am I just cooking my hair with coconut oil because I don't know what I'm doing. I'm moving forward with some like better products for curly hair.
Nice. I'm old enough to remember those sexy commercials for Alberto VO5.
I don't know what that is.
See, that's because you're young. Alberto VO5 was like some kind of hot oil treatment for hair, and they used to have commercials on TV about that. So we are entertaining the crud out of Kim. She's popping in with multiple LOLs for us. She might even remember I can bring home the bacon and cook it up in the pan. You don't remember that one either. That's okay. Nope. So Delphine actually has questions, and this is good, right? This is what this time is for. So I'm going to say it again. If you got questions, concerns, anything that comes up with LifterLMS or potentially something in the WordPress space, just go ahead and pop it in here. If we can help you, we will. If we don't have the exact answer, maybe we can, kind of troubleshoot it and at least send you in a good direction. But Delphine says, our exam website is not the same website as we use for the course. Is there a way to load certificate information from an external exam site into our internal course website? And I thought this would be a fantastic question for someone that's really familiar with another tool.
Me?
Yeah, isn't this like a WP Fusion question?
That would be, yeah, it's a good idea. There's probably a few different ways we could look at this. Me? You can always do something fancy with custom development where the when a page is loaded or when a session is created in WordPress, you can take the information from that user. So a session is like, hey, somebody logged in. It's this person's email, and this email is also in this other quiz system, or this user ID is also associated with this other user in this other system, with the quizzing system and the LMS system. So you can like start it when a session is started, connect that account with the one on the exam site. And then when a certain page is loaded, like the certificates page or whatever, the dashboard page, use the data from the associated person's other account on the other website to load in their certificate information in a certain way. That would require custom development because custom developers would have to write code to say, like, how are we going to lay out and format these certificates? How are we going to start a session tracker and associate the user account? But it's doable. Like Kurt mentioned, with something like WP Fusion, that would be storing your certificate data in a CRM. So I think some CRMs can store image data or certificate data or PDFs as a part of whatever your attachment is, as a part of a contact record. So you'd have a CRM like Fluent CRM, ActiveCampaign, Infusionsoft, whatever you're using for a CRM. Then when the exam is completed, whether your system may be able to automatically do this, or it would need custom development to send the certificate to the CRM. And then we would need to somehow load in their certificates on the website. I don't actually know if you can like dynamically display an image field. Like if we just say the attachment is a JPEG for easy sake, the certificate is a JPEG. I don't know if we can like load a page and then load in a JPEG from the CRM. I don't actually know if that's possible. It might be, but those would be a couple ways to think about it. Yeah.
The thing that crossed my mind with this one, right? Our exam site is not the same website as what we use for the course. In my mind, I still saw it like the course is in LifterLMS, and the engagement would be the certificate in LifterLMS. So if there was a trigger that said you've successfully completed this quiz, we should be able to establish a trigger from that external site to LifterLMS through some kind of tagging that would say completed the quiz and then issue the engagement.
Yeah.
So then the course progress and completion and the certificate is all stored within the LMS reporting, and we're not dependent so much upon the quiz tool for completion results. The completion results are still in the LMS.
Yeah, that's a good point. And would your certificates live on the exam site, or would they live on the Lifter site? Like, that's a good question.
In my world, the certificate would live on the LMS site, would live in LifterLMS.
Cool. Yeah, I see Delphine mentioned certificate information from an external website, so I don't know. Let's see, the data from the certificate, that's what I want. Course material is tracked automatically. I want to make sure at the end of the course, the certificate information is added, i.e. the certificate is issued. Oh yeah, so that would work well, because the certificate would live within Lifter. The external site would just need to either do a REST API request or a native integration into whatever your CRM is. So let's say we're using Fluent CRM in the backend of your WordPress website. We'd use the API through Fluent CRM to apply a tag to the user, like completed the course. And then like Kurt said, when you're using WP Fusion and LifterLMS, you can say when a tag is applied to a student, select a tag, we're going to give them a certificate. And so that would be how the certificate would live in Lifter. The course completion would live in Lifter, but you would have your external exam.
Yeah. And the thing I'm thinking about, like if that certificate has additional data, like a license number or a company name or a school title or something like that, you could use LifterLMS custom fields to add that field to the user account, and then that would transfer over to the certificate as well.
Yeah.
So I think that's a very doable thing to still have automation, still have all your recording and reporting in LifterLMS if you want to use that external site for testing.
Totally.
I think that makes sense.
It does.
I'm not so crazy. I'm not so crazy on the outside. Sometimes I think things through.
Yeah.
I'm really embarrassed. I had a client that wanted to do some special things communicating with students. And they were asking like, oh, well, I thought assignments would do this. And I'm like, no, that is not what assignments does. And then it was, well, I thought I could do it with a quiz. I'm like, that is not what you can do with the quiz. And so then I was like, you probably want to use Fluent Forms because you have Fluent Forms in your site. So you would set up a form and then they could upload certain things, right? And then she wanted to review the stuff in the forms before letting the student go to the next lesson. And so, creating that extra piece of friction, right? That manual touch. But then it kind of occurred to me what she could do, right? So I trained her and I showed her how to go into reporting and how to mark something complete so that the student can unlock the next lesson. So that works, right? But then I thought about it and I was like, if you really don't have to give them the review, if you really just need to make sure they submitted the form, you could still put something, you could still have another activity there, right? You could still say, when this form is submitted, open up this next lesson. You could have, like an if this, then that kind of setup, or you could have just the mark complete button. You could literally say, you have an assignment that says, tick this box if you submitted the form above, submit, and then when they submit the assignment, that marks the lesson complete and they go to the next lesson. So I'm still trying to work with, and I know that you go through this too, Emily, but I want to give people like on the call, like a sense of, oh, I get it now. Like, even if you in your mind are thinking, oh, I wish it did this, or I wish it did that. And we're like, it doesn't do that out of the box. Like, it's just not meant, that's not how the internet works, right? Like, I like to say that a lot, that is not how the internet works. Rest assured, there is probably some kind of workaround to get something to happen that's really close to what you're trying to, Imagineer there, right? We have a lot of Imagineers out in the space. And on one hand, I'm very much a fan of get your minimal viable product out there, get some paid students in there, and see if your product even has interest and can grow, right? Like, sample your product first. But then you get to a point where you're like, I have paying students, I'm growing an audience, and I want to make this better. I want to get to the next level. I just want to reassure you that just because it doesn't do it straight out of the box the way that you're picturing it doesn't mean that you're locked in. There's usually a workaround or something we can help you troubleshoot. Or like Chris Badgett used this term with me the other day, and it kind of stuck. He said, you're more like a solution engineer. You help people think through problems and come up with ways to solve them. And so that's part of what we do on this call. So if you have any of those, weird questions, don't feel like a fruitcake. Just, go ahead and type them on in, and we'll see what kind of input we can give you back. We got a new question. You ready for the new one?
I'm ready.
I'm looking to move from Thinkific to LifterLMS. If Christopher is still on the call, he might not be paying attention. He might be singing old commercials in his head because he says he remembers those old commercials too, And Christopher might be old enough to remember, you see him at the traffic light, poised and ready to go. They're wearing BF Goodrich radial TAs. That used to be a fancy commercial to sell tires. Anyway, he's looking to go from Thinkific to LifterLMS. I would like to see some comments from Christopher as to what the motivation is to move from Thinkific to LifterLMS. I mean, I could put some words in your mouth, Christopher, and I could kind of like, imagine why you'd want to move. But Thinkific is not an unpopular platform, right? It's not some extraneous, weird, out of left field thing. It's not like we never heard of it before. Thinkific is pretty common, pretty popular. And so when I come across people that say they want to migrate from Thinkific to Lifter, I'm always curious as to like where that motivation is coming from. But I will tell you, personally, that's probably one of the best decisions you're ever going to make. What are your thoughts on that, Emily? Do you want to dive into Thinkific a little bit?
Sure. I've done only a handful of Thinkific to Lifter migrations. It's usually a matter of pricing, where like if you're running an LMS site to test things out, to test out an audience. It's a site that has less than 100 people going through it. You can get more of a budget deal going through LifterLMS and a web host. You'll have better solutions, or you want higher customization. So you may have validated a product on Thinkific. You have a bunch of students and you want to take the customization to the next level without taking the build to the next level quite so early. And so you're considering a WordPress solution. Christopher says in chat, one of the motivations is having our courses on the website rather than a third-party site. There's also, the Thinkific. I think they force a Thinkific URL. It's like something.thinkific.com. And
that's my number one response, Chris. Great job.
Yeah. And so that's like that customizability side where you want to control the branding. And so I guess the moving the content is really a matter of copying and pasting from the examples that I've been involved with. So there's not a
great migration path.
No, it's not simple enough like that.
Yeah, that's the one thing that I find to be the headache with stuff. I'm going to do something that's a little unorthodox because I don't think we've actually done this on this call before, but we're caught up on comments and we're good on time. So I just wanted to jump in here. This is Thinkific's pricing page, right? And what I run into a lot with my own people that I talk to is the basic platform is going to cost you $600 a year. And for $600 a year, it says unlimited courses, 1 community, 5 digital downloads, 5 coaching and webinar sessions. It's like, oh, so it does some pretty cool things, right? And we can find ourselves getting attracted to shiny objects before we understand what we say yes to, right? And so chances are, in the end, this probably isn't going to make you happy, and you're going to want to jump over to the $99 a month. So then you'll be spending twice as much as you originally thought. Now you're going to be at $600 a year. So unlimited courses, 1 community, unlimited digital downloads, unlimited coaching and webinar sessions, live sessions, memberships. You'll notice their memberships was not part of the cheaper platform, right? A website builder. It's going to be kind of similar to like the Podia experience. I think Thinkific might not like me saying that, but that's probably going to be very similar in its approach. Some email automations, and you start to see like there are some bells and whistles in here, but do you own this website? Like that's where the big question comes in at, right? And so do you own it? Is it yours, or are you renting space on someone else's platform? Emily mentioned flexibility. So for me, that flexibility is like design flexibility and how I want to have the user experience for my people. When I build something in WordPress, I am pretty much in complete control of the user experience, what I show them first. Do I have marketing up front? Do I have courses up front? Do I have, I can integrate a CRM tool so I can do the custom emails. I can manage my emails through my site, but I can design my own. I'm not using someone else's template or format. I can pick all my own colors, do all my own designs, pick from thousands of themes. There's a lot of advantages to the WordPress space. Of course, there's also a little bit more onboarding and a little bit more of a learning curve when you're getting into the WordPress space with Lifter, right? And so, for example, somebody coming from Thinkific, and these are questions that I get a lot, right? So I'm more than willing to field them here. They'll say, oh, well, I can do unlimited webinars on my Thinkific account. I can't do that in WordPress. Yes, you can. So if you have a StreamYard account or you have a Zoom account, you can embed webinars from StreamYard into your website. And you can also integrate Zoom completely into your website. We have an article on the LifterLMS website about using Zoom on side your WordPress website. I've done that for a lot of clients where we put live sessions directly into their lessons and courses through Zoom because it embeds directly through the integration. There's a lot that you can do with WordPress. So you got to be careful when you look at these SaaS platforms. Sometimes they can seem attractive because they have kind of that bells and whistles. They're going to say unlimited live sessions, unlimited coaching sessions, unlimited webinars. Well, yeah, you have that in WordPress too. And those are free integrations. It's not like you're paying hundreds of dollars for each of these tools. The Zoom integration is no charge. So Of course, you need a Zoom account, but most people have a Zoom account. So when people, like Christopher says here, does Google Meet embed into LifterLMS? Google Meet embeds in LifterLMS the same ways it embeds in any other WordPress website. And so if you go to the WordPress repository and just do a search for Google Meet, you're going to see that there's multiple plugins that will embed Google Meet. Now, what I don't use Google Meet personally, but what I do advise people when they go into the repository looking for something like this, like if you're new to WordPress, if you've been in SaaS platforms for a long time and you're just getting into WordPress and you're building stuff out and you're looking in the repository, by the way, the repository is you go plugins, add new, and then there's a giant library of free software. It's not always free, but there's a giant thing of software there. I say it's not always free because they'll list it for free, and then the stuff you want to do is in the pro version that you have to upgrade for. But I always look at when was it most recently updated and how many installs does it have, and does it have any reviews? Like those are the things I want to look at before I'll even sample a plugin off the repository, and then I'll go down that way. Jane's checking in. I was going to say hi to Jane earlier, but Jane says good evening all. That's where you say good evening, Jane. Christopher says exactly. He gets right. I'm preaching to the choir with Christopher, but I just, for other viewers and listeners, I want them to understand like where the passion comes from for me in the e-learning space with LifterLMS. It is it's ownership, self-hosting. I can take a website in WordPress and I can put it anywhere. Like, let's say, for example, the site starts to run slow and the hosting company's just giving me the runaround and blah, blah, blah. So if I was on Thinkific and I wasn't happy with the performance, I would send them a support ticket and they would say, your traffic's too high, or we can charge you more because you were more popular than you should have been, right? Like there's it's very hard to have control over what Thinkific is going to do with their servers or their presentation. But in WordPress, if you're not happy with where your site is served, you literally just migrate it somewhere else where the performance is better. So like I started out on Bluehost, and then I've tried GoDaddy. Believe it or not, in the very beginning, I was on Google Domains and Google hosting. That was weird. That's probably before you even got out of grade school, Emily. Google used to be like a hosting company. Did you know that?
No.
Yeah, Google used to be a hosting company. You couldn't get anything. You couldn't get any help from them back then. It's the same as now. You like try and call somebody at Google. Good luck to you. But it was just like that back then. But so I tried hosting with Google, and then I went to Bluehost, and then I did GoDaddy, and then I did Cloudways. I've been around. And so sometimes what's really good for hosting a site is different than what's good for hosting an agency, right? So now that I run my own agency, I'm on a different host that gives me more features as an agency does. So really happy with that. But yeah, Christopher, I'm all in, man. If you're excited about this, or if you've got additional questions about moving stuff over to Thinkific, we are all in. So give us a shout. You can also hit us up at help@lifterlms.com if you need, if you need to. Jane says, it's a song. Do you know that song?
I don't know that song.
Yeah, that's not even that old. No need to deal with the question I submitted. I have it saved on another page, Jane. I was going to bring it up. I was actually going to give you a shout out for being awesome on this call. So Jane has a developer working with her, and the developer actually solved their own problem, but it was interesting. I'll put the question in just so we have it notated for the call. From Jane. Jane says, from Jane, we need to be able to code a way for a group leader to purchase more seats for their existing group on LifterLMS on a pay-as-you-go basis. Appreciate the buyer could create a new group, but this doesn't work for our business. Wonder if you could steer us to the best expert. I think their developer came up with a pretty elegant solution for this. So this is another one of those examples where if something in LifterLMS isn't doing exactly what you want it to do out of the box, you have the power. You can have it developed. You can use the API. You can, use third-party integrations. There's almost always a solution. It's just you have to open up your brain enough to go, let me think of this from another perspective. So what Jane's developer did in this particular case, and what some people might not recognize, and it might be worth a screen share, is that we have this feature called Groups. It's an advanced add-on. Groups allows you to sell a certain number of seats to a group leader, and then they manage their own users through a group interface. And very recently, we made it so that this used to be a manual process. Now it's an automated process where they can pick the number of seats, pay for that number of seats, and automatically create the group page, which all used to be a manual process up until just this last year, this last fiscal quarter that just went by. So obviously, immediately, you have a major upgrade like this, and everybody should be jumping through the ceiling, like, because this is amazing. But still, remember, this is the real world, and there's thousands of users out there, and people are going to come out of the woodwork and say, well, it doesn't work with my WooCommerce, or it doesn't work with this, or it doesn't work with that. Or in Jane's case, we want group leaders to be able to keep the same group, but buy additional seats on an as-needed basis, which isn't the way the plugin works. So what her developer did was created an instance with Stripe directly that allows Stripe to process those individual seat payments and then tag in and add those additional seats to an existing group. It's pretty cool workaround. I talked to the developers at our staff when I saw this question come in on Facebook, Jane. I talked to developers at LifterLMS, and for us to go into like a next phase of groups e-commerce might include something like this, but from an overarching umbrella perspective, there's a lot of feedback we're getting. Like, what if somebody cancels some seats? What if somebody wants to expire a group at this date, but have a new group, something like wants to run cohorts within the group? So there's all these other parameters that we're examining based on use cases and what a future update might look like. But it's really cool that you were able to get this worked out on your own through your developer and get that going. Chris says, I'll be using that email. I got to run, but this has been very helpful in making my decision. Well, that's good. That's good. Hope I didn't come on too strong. I thought you already made the decision. I didn't realize I was still selling. I thought it was already sold. All right. Here we go. Scott Hill knows that song. Jane's Addiction. You're going to have to look up Jane's Addiction in Spotify, Emily, and you can just play that playlist for yourself.
Yeah.
It's good stuff. It's good music from back in the day. You were there. You were there. Oh, did you share this already on the screen?
Yeah, that's one. I didn't put it on the screen, but I put it in the chat. That one mentions LifterLMS specifically and Google Meet. It has a lot of integrations with the live stream platforms and WordPress.
Nice. Perfect. You can't like, never mind. I'll figure it out later. Good evening, Janie says. I'm noticing that the next lesson button at the bottom changes to back to the course at the end of the last lesson. Is there a way to make it continue to the next course instead? Oh, that's a tough one. Would it work like that if you had it in a course track?
I don't think so. We can test it out.
Because I think each course is regarded as a separate product in the platform. And so I don't think it goes from one to the next.
Right. So what they're referring to is if we go to view, for anyone who's not as familiar with LifterLMS, when you view the last lesson of a course, there's this button. This is back to course. So if you're on next and previous lesson, next lesson, previous lesson, once you're on the last lesson, it says back to course. So this is second to last lesson, next lesson, previous lesson. But then when you hit the last one, you'll have a back to course link, which takes us back to the course homepage. That button could be custom developed to change what it does. It's simply some logic to say, if you're at the end of the course, insert a button to refer back to that parent course. But you could also have some custom code to link to other logic, but you'd have to write the code for that logic. You'd have to say like, oh, this is the order of courses, or we're going to link them back to their membership they purchased, whatever your use case is for why you want to go to the next course and what would determine what is the next course.
Maybe the course catalog.
Yeah, it's like if you're going through course catalog order, that might be doable. I know the Astra theme actually has kind of an interesting feature with this because I think it'll let me try to see if this bug still works, but it does next and previous course. I think in the free theme. So if we activate Astra has something called post navigation, which is like next blog post, previous blog post. And it was also working on courses. So it was like if I go to my so right now I'm on the latest published course. I'm on the quick start course, right? But then if I'm on saving strategy, go to the bottom, we have a next and previous course, right? So this is going to take me to the quick start course, and then that's the latest course in the catalog. So you could leverage a bug in the Astra theme if you wanted to to do that, but that's going to do it based on publish order.
And if we're going to be super realistic, you can customize the order of the courses, right, by the priority. So you could have like an order of courses if you use that logic.
Yeah, but then that's not going to be within the lesson specifically. That's on the course page because it's taking the course. Yeah, and so that's,
well, we're lucky. Scott is using Astra.
Yeah, that. So if you're using Astra and you're doing that next and previous, ordering them by the date that they're published, you would have those navigations at the bottom. But yeah, it would be nice to go to the next course. I'm using that course order logic. Yeah. We could look at like how I mean, it's pretty simple how Astra is determining the post order. And so we could probably like, if you're familiar with custom code or willing to dive into a little bit of custom code, there's probably a way that we could override that back to course button and put our own custom stuff there. Because Astra already has code that's applying to the course page. So if we can grab a snippet of how it determines what the next course is, we can simply add that logic to the button probably for the back to course. I could play around with it.
Yeah, I want to apologize to all the other users listening to this because Emily makes it sound easy. you got to play around, and that's the key, right? You got to be not afraid to play around. That's why having like staging sites is really a great learning tool. If you're not familiar with the term staging site, that's you have your site hosted at a server, and then you get your host to make you a duplicate of that site that you can work in and develop things and try things and break things without ruining your live site.
Right. Yeah, I wouldn't recommend doing this on a live site. I'll experiment around in the background and see if I could poke at that issue and see if I could make any progress on it.
Yeah, and what I like about talking to Scott here is that he doesn't have his head in the clouds. He's like, I've already had some feedback from users. I could just put a link on the lesson page. Yeah, you could absolutely have a button that says, go to the next course, with its own special button or link or whatever. But if you could make it part of the navigation, that might be cool and it might look good.
Definitely.
We don't do this because it's easy. We do it because we thought it would be easy. If you only knew how true that was for a lot of people I talked to. Hey, this is harder than I thought it was going to be. And it's our own marketing though, because we like, what does a Squarespace ad say? You could get your own website up in 15 minutes. Lickety split, so easy. Do you run your own business? Do you have a pet grooming store? We'll have a pet grooming website up for you in 3 minutes. And then you're like, okay, but now I got to spend 3 months trying to figure out how to get people to it.
Totally.
Scott says he works with entrepreneurs and that's their mantra. I like that. Kim says, right, easy is relative. Well, Kim might be my age here. I don't know. She says easier than when writing in HTML. She's giving me some Dreamweaver flashbacks. Oh, Dreamweaver, I believe we can get you through the night. You don't remember that song either, do you?
I do remember that song.
You do remember that song. Julia's with us today. I feel good. There's a lot of regular folks starting to show up to this call. Says hello to you from snowy, icy -5 in the UK. -5. Today was 23 degrees when I woke up. Fahrenheit, Julia. It was 23 degrees Fahrenheit when I woke up this morning, and I felt like I was in a heat wave because we've had a lot of mornings down in 2 or 3 degrees. When we are done looking at Scott's issue here, we can help Julia out. She wants us to talk about whether WordPress sends any notifications to students when they enroll, and I guess what that looks like against the Lifter notifications.
Yeah, totally. We can absolutely dive into that. I'm opening VS Code in the background and poking away at where this code is in Astra. But
I think me and Scott are the same age. He sang Dreamweaver for his 3rd grade talent contest. Well, that is a quick way to get invited to a shared screen on this call, Scott. Scott, you need to get yourself a Universe or Infinity bundle, and you can start coming to office hours with us, and we can sing. Oh, Kim says Dreamweaver 1.0. I was on Dreamweaver back when it was called Macromedia. I had the Macromedia Studio Suite, and that's what I taught myself how to build websites on. And that's when I learned Flash. I used to love Flash. I was heartbroken when they stopped supporting Flash. So I learned Flash and Fireworks. I was like a genius with Fireworks for graphics. I know all the short codes, and I could zip through like editing pictures, lickety split. I was just so good at it. And I'm not patting myself on the back because the thing I say next is going to shock you. When they stopped supporting Fireworks and I was left with Photoshop, I became absolutely handicapped. I, to this day, cannot figure out Photoshop. All I do is get frustrated. The only thing I can do in Photoshop is crop an image, and even then, I'm angry. Yep. Before Adobe bought it, yeah, so Adobe kept Fireworks going for, I don't know, it was like 3 or 4 years. They were supporting it at least, but yeah, Adobe broke my heart. All right. You're staring at the screen intently, Emily. Are you working on Scott's thing?
yeah, I'm just looking. I'm like digging around in Astra's code. I don't do this very often in Astra.
All right. Well, don't sweat the small stuff here.
No, I'm not. I'm just curious now. I'm like developer curious.
Like developer curious.
Yeah, I'm just looking like how do we manage this in Astra?
How do we manage? I gotta open up. I'm not used to just having one screen. I do feel a little handicapped. I think I'm going to have to order another screen. All right. Here we go. I'm going to share this tab instead.
You could take over your family TV as a new monitor.
Okay, so you laugh. I took the TV out of the bedroom and I was going to put it up next to my monitor here, and I was going to do like the TV and the monitor. But the TV, so like a monitor is like this, and the TV is like, it's like longer, right? And it looks stupid on the desk. So I'm just going to order another monitor like the one I have here. I have a giant monitor, and I'm going to get another giant monitor, and then I'm going to put them side by side. I'm going to get one of them arms so I can put it up off the desk. And I have a standing desk, which I really like. So if I get that all set up and I keep the whole workspace kind of like clear, but I like elevate the monitors up, I think it's going to be next level.
Nice. That would be next level.
Yeah, I think it's going to be next level. It's going to be like, I don't ever want to leave this room. All right. That sounds like a hit title, Kurt. Adobe broke my heart. I can make another AI song. We don't have any music going.
Oh, yeah, I have music going, but just for me.
That doesn't count. We have the Mañana no Mas Live Your Dream.
Oh my God.
Dive into the digital, the code flows like a stream. Building dreams on wood, a TED cheese through a steam. LifterLMS, our tool for the knowledge stream.
Here comes the chorus. Ready?
Hip bubbles now as the users start to sway.
All right, I'll get you back to normal. All right. All right. Scott says he's got some stories, so we can do that now. Well, I'm going to jump into a screen share here real quick, and this is after. Is it Julia's question? Yeah, this will be to address Julia's question. So, I'm screwing my own self up. There we go. So this is the back end of one of our demo sites, and WordPress does have like messaging that goes out, right? So you have like forgotten password messaging, you have a new account messaging. And so typically someone gets enrolled, right? They get not enrolled, they get a new user account on your website. They'll get an email from WordPress that's going to say, you have a new user account. Here's your username. Click here to set your password, right? They typically get that. But LifterLMS has in their settings menu a whole area here. If you look at this horizontal menu here, you're going to see one for notifications. And when we open up notifications, you're going to see here two different kinds. You're going to see basic notifications and you're going to see email notifications. So basic notification is at the upper right-hand portion of the screen. The student's going to get like a pop-up window. So like achievement earned, it's going to say, you've earned this achievement, boom, right? And there's a little box up there. And they can click on that to close the notification. If you go down to like course complete, they're going to get the notification on screen, but they're also going to receive an email. If we click on this email and we open this up, you'll see that you have an email that you can modify. You can change this, right? So congratulations, student name inset, right? Here's all of our merge codes, right? So student name, that's a merge code. Let me see if I can just make that go away. There we go. And completed the course title. Now, let's say you want that to say something else, right? Congratulations, student name, and you want to change things up, right? You're going to say, you've completed course title, blah, 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 and you are a stinking rock star, right? And then you're going to say, sincerely. I don't know when the last time is I wrote anything and said sincerely at the end. Sincerely, the Grand Poobah. The Grand Poobah. Is it Poobah or Poobah? Can't remember. It's been a long time since I've seen the Flintstones. So anyway, you don't end it there. This goes to the course author, and we can also send it to additional recipients. Now it's already going to the student, right? But I have it checked here that it's going to go to the course author. And then if I had additional recipients, let's say I have an instructor or I have a person, right? So let's just say miscellaneous person at gmail.com, right? And that's someone that I want to share these emails with. It's in there. And then whenever you change anything, you just want to hit save changes. Save changes. All right. And so now you have customized that notification. And you'll notice, like if you wanted to add a picture, you could add a picture, you could attach a document, you can do whatever you want in here. But all of these emails in notifications are able to be modified for your use. The other thing that you can do is, let's say, let me find one where you can do it on. So this one is lesson author, course author, additional recipients, right? And so remember, there can be a difference between lesson author and course author because you can set your authorship in those when you make those. So those you have some adjustments on. And then if you didn't want to send a certain email, some of them you can just uncheck. Like you can just say, I don't even want to send that, right? And so you could uncheck that. Next thing that I wanted to show you was engagements. So notifications are kind of preset. Those are triggered like They're part of the system. You've completed a course, you finished a course, you finished a quiz, you enrolled. Those are all like notifications. We also have this thing here called engagements. And if we look at engagements, we have an area where we can say emails. So here's where we can create an email. And it looks like I already created one for somebody in the past called Bradley. So, yep, that looks like something I would have typed for sure. So in this one, it's the Bradley sample, and I just typed some garbly-gook in here, right? But just like a post, we can put anything in here. We can add media, we can add a form, merge codes, you can attach a document, you can do whatever you want, right? And this could be as long or as short as it needs to be. And then what we're going to do is fill out some things, right? So we have a subject, we have an email heading. So this is the main thing, right? So we can put in, wow, that is not how you spell this. There we go. This is the main thing. We're going to email it to the student. We are going to copy that email to somebody else, right? And then we have a blind carbon copy where we could send it to somebody else, but it's a secret, okay? And then I update that email. So what we've just done is we've created a custom email. But now the trick is I've got this cool custom email. How do I send it to somebody? So if we go down to engagements, we're going to be able to open up the menu that kind of triggers those things. So we're going to add an engagement. We're going to call this one Julia Stiles. And the triggering event. This is where it gets kind of tricky, Julia. If you're trying to think of like a marketing email that you just want to send the first weekend of every month, this is not the tool for you. But if it's going to be something that can be triggered by something in the site that a student does, then this is the tool for you. So enrolls in a course, purchases a course, fails a quiz, completes a section. What was that last thing? There was something down there about a query or something. Nope. Student creates a new forum reply, right? So if you've activated forums, that'll be in there for you. Student completes a course track. That's kind of related to an earlier question today, like if you had certain courses in order as a course track, all kinds of things. But anyway, let's pick one. Student enrolls in a course. So which course? Well, now we got to pick the course that it's going to be. I like car wash fundamentals. We're going to send an email, right? We're going to select that engagement, and that's going to be the Bradley sample because that's the only email I have in there right now that is published. And then engagement delay. If I leave it blank, it's going to go right away. If I put in 0, it's going to go right away. Let's say I wrote a different email. Let's say, because this is like enrolls in a course, right? So maybe I want to wait 10 days, and maybe that email says, hey, you enrolled 10 days ago. What kind of value have you gotten from your course so far? Like maybe I'm trying to get something going, right? And so maybe I want to wait 10 days, and I'm going to hit publish. So now that sets up an automation. Anytime somebody buys this course and they sign up for this course, they're going to get an email after 10 days. And that's just basically the be all end all of that. If you're looking for, again, if you're looking for an email that is more marketing centered, that is more like, I want to send this out to a list of people at the same time, like what we call an email blast or a campaign, then you're looking at a CRM integration. So if you want to put a CRM in the back end of your website, there's two that come to mind for me. One is Groundhog and the other one is Fluent CRM. But please know that LifterLMS integrates with multiple CRMs. Like you could do MailChimp, HubSpot, ActiveCampaign. What's the other one? Sendinblue. There's a ton of them, right? So there are a ton of tools that you can connect to that'll give you more freedom with emails. But if you're just getting started, because I'm really big on minimal viable products and just getting things launched, you can customize the notifications. You can add custom emails to the engagements, and you can really pick up your messaging as far as a website goes pretty well right out of the box. But if you really want to get super special and custom design some templates and fancy visual emails and use a CRM, then you would want to integrate with a CRM.
Yeah, totally.
Hey, Scott already has Universe. Maybe he's going to come to office hours. Jane says, is there an office hours tonight in the chilly UK? Yeah, there's office hours today. It starts at 2:00 Central Time in the United States. I think it's like 10:00 at night for you or something like that. But yeah, this ends at 1 for us. We take an hour break and we start at 2, right? So an hour after this call is over, we'll be on office hours. And if you have access to the Universe or the Infinity bundle, you should be able to get into office hours and the mastermind call. Julia says she's got Fluent CRM already. Julia, you are so well equipped. So Fluent CRM, and this answers Jane, because Jane came in after Julia and said groundhog or what? It's Fluent CRM. So it's right there on the screen for us, Jane. Fluent CRM. I am a big fan of Fluent. I used to be a big fan of Groundhog, and not that Groundhog did anything wrong to tick me off or anything like that, but Fluent was a little less expensive, and I liked the way the funnel builds better. It just seemed more like, I think the user interface was more professional looking, like more corporate looking, and a lot of my clients are more corporate type people. And so Fluent was just a better presentation in that, and I got to understand how it works really well with the tagging and the automations it can do. With Fluent, you can do some really cool stuff, and you can do it with Groundhog too. But with Fluent, let's say you're directly in your website, right? I could have a lead magnet in my website with a form. Customer fills out the form to get the lead magnet, but when they fill out that form, it automatically tags them and adds them to a distribution list inside the CRM. Now, so inside the CRM, it's in the website. So every time the customer does something in the website, their activity gets added to their customer record inside the CRM, which is kind of nice. So that doesn't always happen in an external integration, right? So all of the notes are stored inside the website, inside the contact record. Anything they do on the website is stored in there, which is really nice. And then I can use that tag from them signing up for that lead magnet to dump them into some type of sales funnel. Like, hey, welcome to this lead magnet. A couple days later, it's like, hey, did you sample the lead magnet? How did you like it? On a scale of 1 to 10, did you feel it did this, this, or this? And then based on the results, you can tag it and then use conditional logic to send them down a couple of different forks inside the funnel to say, okay, you loved it. Here's the pathway to buy the next thing. You didn't like it. Here's something else you might be interested in, right? And so it's a really cool way when you look at marketing, and then you can combine it with other tools too for really advanced marketing. But Fluent CRM is pretty dang strong right out of the box. And like I said, Groundhog does very similar things, and we do integrate with multiple other CRMs. So I don't want to just talk about 2 of them and leave everybody else out. The best place to go is LifterLMS.com/recommended resources. Recommended resources. LifterLMS.com/recommended resources. And almost all of the really cool software that we integrate with really well is listed there. And it takes you right out to those things. So Scott says he's got meetings at the time, but he'll try to pop in. Jane says, how do I access office hours? I would just like to listen in. Office hours is for people in the Universe or Infinity bundle. They get an email invitation. If you have a Universe bundle or an Infinity bundle and you are not receiving the email invitation, I would encourage you to go to help@lifterlms.com and just request to be added to that list. We use a CRM to manage that for us. And if for some reason we didn't get you on the appropriate list, that would be why you might not have seen that invitation. But I can't put the link in this meeting because then 1,000 people come into a Zoom call and you never know what's going to show up on the screen. So we don't do it like that. Jane says, thanks. Maybe we'll play Jane's Addiction in the next call just for fun. It's the top of the hour. Emily, is there anything we want to discuss or update before we hang up on everybody?
No, I feel pretty good. I got the navigation working, so it goes to the next lesson, but it goes to the next lesson in the next course, and so I need to get some logic to do the parent course that you're looking at to use Astra's logic within Lifter to override that button. So we're pretty close in 15 minutes.
I think you gave Scott some inspiration to maybe come to next week's call.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Jane says thanks, and it's a pleasure to have you, Jane. We love having you. At the bottom of the screen, you're going to see a ticker. I was rather remiss in my duties at the beginning because I was having way too much fun talking about my computer. You can get 55% off Lifter LMS purchases by going to lifterlms.com/AMA-gift. Again, that's lifterlms.com/AMA-gift. And with that, I think we're going to bring this one to an end, and we will see you this time next week. Same bat time, same bat channel.